Check it, check it. Hey, people. For me, a ringleader, mad party bleeder. Make this what a song, lead after lead after leader. Hey, can you dig it? I come alive, y'all, give me what you got. Back up, come shake up, pump your fist up. You check the side of the buckshot, your bust, slip up. Morning like a kid, gonna make it feel alright. Pump it up all night, body rock, show me what you got. Let go break, slip up. Morning like a kid, gonna make it feel alright. Pump it up all night, body rock, show me what you got. Let go break, check it, check it, check it out, check it, check it out, check it, check it, check it out, check it, check it out, check it, check it, check it out, check it, check it out, check it, check it, check it out, check it, check it out, check it, check it, check it out, check it, check it out, check it, check it, check it out, check it, check it out, check it, check it, check it out, check it, check it out, check it, check it, check it. Hey, people. Check it out, check it, check it, check it. Check it, check it. Hey, people. For me, a ringleader, mad party bleeder. Make this what a song, lead after lead after leader. Hey, can you dig it? I come alive, y'all, give me what you got. Back up, come shake up, pump your fist up. You check the side of the buckshot, your bust, slip up. Morning like a kid, gonna make it feel alright. Pump it up all night, body rock, show me what you got. Let go break, slip up. Morning like a kid, gonna make it feel alright. Pump it up all night, body rock, show me what you got. Let go break, check it, check it, check it out, check it, check it out, check it, check it, check it out, check it, check it out, check it, check it, check it out, check it, check it out, check it, check it, check it out, check it, check it out, check it, check it, check it out, check it, check it out, check it, check it, check it out, check it, check it out, check it, check it, check it out, check it, check it out, check it, check it, check it. Hey, people.
Yo, what is up, everyone? This is episode 40 of the Glimmer cast, second episode of the day. So yeah, I am joined by first guest on the panel, ChillMonger. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. How are you, Rhea?
I'm doing all right, just a little sleepy, but yeah, nothing too out of the ordinary. I'm really excited though to talk about Miss Marvel because I haven't gotten the chance to really get into like a deep dive with anyone yet on my thoughts, and I know that you're like a big fan of this series and the just like not the show but the comic as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Damn right.
Yay! Awesome. Yeah, and you actually had some interesting thoughts that you shared on your channel as well, which I did link in the description. So while we're waiting on our other panelists to join us, Ashley, the Widow, and hopefully Second Street Marvel will be joining us as well. Yeah, I just kind of wanted to check in with the chat in the meantime. How is the music, by the way? I have some custom audio imported to StreamYard since we have that ability now, but I just want to make sure that it's not drowning out anyone's voices.
I always think the music's too loud, but I don't know. Ask the live chat. It sounds like Mario Odyssey.
Yes, yeah, it's very jazzy. It's like a remix to this awesome old school game called Chrono Trigger. So it's one of the songs.
Of course, it's an old school game.
Of course. But yeah, thank you, Tim, for coming through first. And we got Cuphead in the house, early gang again. Thank you so much for coming through for show number 2 of the day. Potion Sword Run, Original Seed, Double Stream, Ray is getting it. Yes, absolutely. I am just, pumping out content, trying to take this YouTube thing seriously.
And what never sleeps, Rhea?
The bag never sleeps. Exactly. Yeah. Whatever bag is to be had on an unmonetized channel, that is. But yeah, we got Potion Sword Run, Original Seed, saying your streams are helping me get through the rest of my lunch shift. Absolutely. That's what we're here for. And we got Mattia Yakvik in the house. Hit that like button, everyone. Thank you so much for the support, Mattia. Hope you're enjoying your trip in Italy. And Skake and Bacon Media, who likes to be addressed as Marcus. I remembered. So yes, hello. Thank you so much for joining stream number 2 of the day. Blorb indeed, yes. And we're joined by Ashley the Widow. What is up, girl? How are you?
Hey, how are you?
Doing great. Yeah, we're just greeting everyone in the chat. And we got Fear Jason over on Twitch saying, hello, Rhea, ChillMonger. Good to see you, Fear Jason. My first subscriber over on Twitch. Thank you so much for taking advantage of the awesome emojis that I imported emojis over to Twitch. So yeah, thanks for showing up and using those. Skywalker the Jedi, good to see you. Came through to give a like. Haven't seen the show yet, so I'll come back to this after I see it. No worries, no worries. Yeah, we're gonna get into spoilers, so just like a heads up for folks who weren't aware, this is a spoiler stream since we're gonna be deep diving into the series. What's up, John? Good to see you. Good to see you. Teriyaki chicken. What, you're eating that right now? That sounds super yummy. Momoon in the house. What's up, Momoon? Good to see you. But yeah, cool, awesome. So yeah, we'll just like kind of get into some like high level overview thoughts on this series, and then we can like deep dive into each of the episodes, which I have clips of that I hope will not get the stream sniped, but we shall see. But yeah, Ashley, thank you so much for joining us. And I know everyone wants to hear your thoughts on Miss Marvel, but after like a few days since the finale aired, how are you feeling about it so far? Or like since then?
I'm still like it. It's still, I feel like it started very strongly. And then as soon as we went to Karachi, I think that for me, 4 and 5 were pretty weak, especially 4. 5 was a bit stronger, but I think they spent too much time doing things that I feel like that they could have condensed in a 10-minute time span. Episode 6, why it was strong, watching it back, at times it does feel very like a Disney Channel, but it skews much younger, but it does give me those vibes, but I still enjoy it overall and think that the finale was strong, and it has me very excited for the Marvels film, I will say. So that's just like my general thoughts overall.
Totally. Yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, we're going to definitely get into the finer details of each episode as well, like I mentioned. Really quick, thank you so much, Skywalker the Jedi, for tipping $5 through Stream Elements, $5 for an unmonetized channel. Thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate it. You are awesome. I can't wait to catch your show later on this evening. And yeah, ChillMonger, I know we were just discussing how you're a fan of the series overall in terms of like the TV show and the source material of the comic book. So what are your high level overview, feelings on the show since it's ended, or since the first season ended?
Just to be positive and looking at it from that perspective of the comic stuff, what they got wrong was a lot, but what they got right, or what I think they got better, was the way that her suit was created from her mom. They don't really say that it was the grandma who gave them the suit, but because the suit came in that box with like toffee on it, just like the same that the bangle came in the first episode, I'm pretty sure that it was their grandma back home that kind of stitched it up. So that's way better than what the superhero suit is supposed to be from the comic books, which was like a swimsuit that covers your whole body, like a bikini burqa, a burkini. Yeah, I prefer this version a lot better from the comic books. Another thing they did right here was they let Kamala's family know that she was actually a superhero, and that doesn't happen in the comics. Actually, when it does happen in the comics, they pull that like 4 issues later, and they go, some alien wizard's gonna make you forget. Don't worry, Kamala, your parents aren't gonna know your identity anymore. We know you would like it that way. So I prefer her parents knowing about her identity, and that's two things that they got right in this series.
Definitely. And yeah, I just wanted to kind of shout out the chat again. Cuphead, I found a box of old stuff, at least 50 Spider-Man comics or less. It was a lot of comics. No, that's awesome. Yeah, I kind of attracted a younger audience once I started streaming Cuphead, so it's really interesting how like everything I talk about is old to them, even like games that came out like 10 years ago. So yeah, cool, awesome. We can get into the episode 1. So I have this clip from Twitter that I wanted to just quickly show. So I like that this Disney account, Disney Plus Singapore, I'm like obsessed with them now because they're able to share clips of the episodes that are like 15 seconds or shorter and kind of succinctly get a lot of like the high points captured in that clip. So yeah, series premiere, getting the sense of, Kamala kind of being like an awkward teenage girl and feeling that she doesn't really fit in, and that her interests don't really align to her peers and stuff like that. Her family kind of thinking that she's weird and stuff. So I wanted to kind of get y'all's first impressions of the show, like all those weeks ago when it first came out. Were you sort of like intrigued by this concept, or were you just sort of like, oh great, like another sort of like teen comedy discovering herself type of story? That, I don't know, what were your first impressions, Ashley?
Going into it, I was like, like when it was announced, I was like, this is the one thing that I don't even care about seeing. Like, I remember, like, even, I remember I was never big on Miss Marvel. Like, as a character, like a lot of the newer characters are not my bag. And then on top of it, then once I saw the trailer for it, I was like, this is obviously for my niece, it's for my 10-year-old niece. This is like, why do I want to watch this? I'm obviously going to watch it for continuity and for the bigger picture. But I thought the trailer was horrible. I was like, this is going to be crap. It's going to be horrible. It's not going to be when all the things, when you just look at something and you just like form an opinion instead of just relaxing and like experiencing it. That's what I was doing. But then to me, as soon as I saw that first episode, I was completely shocked. I felt like it began very strongly. I really enjoyed, especially the first 2 episodes. And you could tell that tonally there's a shift once you get to the later parts of the later episodes. And you bring in different directors to direct episodes of a series. But this, I feel like the first 2 episodes with all the panels and the creativity of it, and then I feel like that all of her charisma was really was there in the first 2 episodes. So I really liked the season premiere, and I really enjoyed the awkwardness and like her, and like kind of her kind of how it reminded me of Homecoming a bit, like this coming of age story, and then like her interacting with the counselor. I loved it, like the clock, and then like, you know, the split with where they split her face down in the middle, where there's like these two sides of her. Like, so there was so much that I really, really enjoyed in those first two episodes. In episode 3 too, but nowhere near as the first two.
Episode 1 was fun. Like, I actually felt like, okay, I could see where this is going. They introduced the family real nicely to me, and it was like cool. There's a couple of lame moments where they kind of got some culture in, and they sort of felt like they needed to do that, but that was like so digestible. It was so like, all right, cool. I'm watching this new show and I'm loving the cast, and the doodles were there, and I'm like, whoa, I can't wait for 6 episodes of this, which I don't think in the episode 4 and 5 we did get as much doodles. You could feel, actually, we could feel the directors changing episode to episode, right? Everyone had their own signature when it came to it.
Yeah.
And I was in love with the first episode's directors.
Well, and I love the opening with The Weeknd. I feel like it fit like perfectly. The song, like, I thought it was such a great fit. It was just like the whole vibe. It was just like fun and colorful, and it felt like in like the moving graffiti, like it just like the art was just like, so it was amazing, you know, in that first episode. The first two really, you know, but
yeah, I just wanted to highlight Potion Sword Run's comment. Original Seed seems a bit PG-13 for me based on previews, but I still plan on watching it. Looking forward to hearing y'all's takes. Yeah, we're doing deep dive spoiler reviews, so just like a heads up for folks. And we're joined by our good friend K-Dots, dropping some hot spicy takes in the chat as usual. Very on brand for him. I love the MCU. JK, I hate the MCU. Oh, well, there you go. Plot twist. Snorlax says, I like that she's a mutant instead of an inhuman. She was originally supposed to be a mutant, but they're trying to push Inhumans at the time.
Let me just step on that one there.
No. The
I don't know how true
co-creator
this
of the
is,
corrector, Chill, confirmed that.
Yeah,
That they wanted her to be a Okay, because I was going to say, because I'm ready to go with you right now on this. So let's hear it.
All right, so Sana Amanat, that was the one who said that, yeah?
Yes.
What do we adapt? Is it ideas? Is it decisions that they made and they're on the cutting room floor? Or do we adapt the canon? It's the lore. It's the comics. I'm sure there's 1,000 different Batman suits that were being created like back in 1939. And then the guy goes, no, we're going to go with this one. And that's the one we go with. Same thing.
But also think about the agenda that was going on at that time with the Inhumans.
No, it's valid. I understand.
Okay.
Yeah, it's true. They were very gung-ho on Inhumans because Fox had the movie rights for X-Men, so they wanted. Yeah, you spelled Feige wrong.
Feige, you're right.
So they wanted to go with the Inhumans, and okay, fine, they changed her. But the entirety of of Ms. Marvel, of Kamala Khan, and everything that they're trying to go for, can't work if she is a mutant. A mutant is someone who is shunned, on the outcasts of the community. The way that this show has been going for 6 episodes and then cemented in the final episode was that she's loved and embraced by the community. How could you have that be a mutant? You can't. When you think about it, it's going against in complete. What's the word for it? That means opposite, but smart people use it. Contradiction. It's a contradiction.
But I think that they're all already setting that up, though, with the DODC and like talking about, you know, like you almost had that moment, like when the DODC officer is like, you know, we can't give people like that powers, and then she like clarifies that it's children. But I think that, and then she makes that statement like that's just another label. So I think that they're going to get there where mutants are going to be like outcasts. But I agree with your point, because I do want to see Inhuman characters in the main timeline. But like I'm willing, again, I'm not so connected to Miss Marvel in the source material with her characters. So for me, it's like, okay, this is what you intended all along, and we know that, you know, they were trying to push the Inhumans at this time, and no new mutant characters could be created. So it's kind of like, okay, I get it, so, but we'll see. And you might, and I think that it may be even evolve over time, where mutants and Inhumans are a subdivision of mutants. I can see them even doing that to like make sense of that, you know, because originally she thinks she's a mutant in the comics, and then you find out that she's an Inhuman. This might be, you know, a way to bring in mutants, but then later for us to discover that she is technically an Inhuman. But I really thought in that moment they were going to allude to her fact that she was an Inhuman, and when they said mutant and the music cued, I was like, what is going on? So I had that initial reaction. But you know, I'm along for the ride and to see where it goes. If it makes sense, then maybe. But I would like to see, especially Black Bolt and Medusa. I want to see those characters, but I don't know. You know, I don't know. We'll see.
I did want to get into that because I feel like a lot of what the post-credit scenes in episode 6 did sort of overtook the impact of what the previous, you know, 6 episodes of content that we got were, you know, trying to establish. And it's a little frustrating for me because I was along for the ride even without those post-credit scenes, and now like Brie Larson and her and mutants are, you know, overtaking the narrative of the show, and I'm just like there's a lot more to the show than just, you know, those 2 scenes. But I do want to get into that once we get through, you know, some of
I was gonna because it gets messy, you know, once we go to this step and then the final step, it's just like what's happening though. So yeah,
I just wanted to show this quick clip kind of recapping episode 2 where Kamala is fully aware of like her powers. You know, she's kind of going through training with Bruno, and she has this moment where she has to basically save someone's life with her powers, like, and it's sort of turned into a spectacle, and it's somewhat used against her as well, like, and she's kind of determining like, okay, well, I guess I need to keep this a secret now because people are seeing this as like an irresponsible use of these you know, abilities that I have. I think that's roughly what the conflict is that she's going through. She's just really scared about being discovered. So yeah, what were y'all's thoughts on episode 2? Was it like a good taking off point from the series premiere, or was it sort of shifting you know, what expectations we had from episode 1 for you? Ashley, if you want to go first.
I really like the dynamic between her and Bruno. I really like that he's like, you know, the one that's helping her work through this power set, but then I love her mother in the episode, and you know, that conflict there. But to see them like do the montage and her to figure out she doesn't have superhero strength, that she actually has to work at it just because she has these powers doesn't mean it's just going to come so easily to her. And I do like that she struggles quite a bit through the whole series, right? And in this episode, even when she saves someone, you know, he still gets injured, and it's still like this kind of like messy situation while that's happening. So yeah, overall, I really enjoyed it. Again, I thought episode 2 was strong, but we had the same directors in the first episode here, and I loved her dynamic with Bruno. I love Cameron and introducing him, and then like that whole element of, you know, like the funny little joke of him calling him Brian, and then the reveal at the end of episode 2. But we'll talk about that later. But I liked the moment when we got it at the end of the episode. So I felt like it was really strong. Like I could not wait to see episode 3. So this is my general take there.
Yeah, I was still.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to quickly shout out Snorlax and Ashley saying that the parents were standout performances. Yeah, definitely. Even though they came off a little tropey sometimes, like the know-it-all mom and then like sort of like the clueless, you know, ditzy dad. You know, those are tropes that you know, I do see in like animated comedies, for example. So it was sort of breaking the immersion a little bit for me, especially when I feel like, you know, they felt a little too supportive at times. They felt a little too like willing to acknowledge the daughter's feelings and wanting to,
until he got hurt.
her.
I feel like
he got a green suit. He was all hulked up. And then she broke his heart. He says, "You're not going," and then leaves the room. What?
Oh,
Yeah,
that's true. That's a good point.
I feel like her mother and her were at more conflict. Like her mother was really concerned with her not living up to her ideals of, what is a good, normal, Muslim woman as well. And so, and she was worried about this shame that her mother had, and her grandmother, had put on her, and then escaping from her mother. So I feel like that her relationship with her mother a lot of the times was very contentious, and and I felt like her mother a lot of the times was heartbroken because she was struggling with her own stuff, and then she was projecting that onto her daughter. But dad was just like happy, I love you all, you're perfect, and just like goofy and like, but it was kind of endearing because where you had this other situation with her mom, and then like her dad just being like this lovable sweet guy, even though it does play into the tropes. I just thought he was just the sweetest thing in the world. And like when he was heartbroken, about Avengers Con, it like really like made me sad. Like I cried, but I'm like that weak sauce when it comes to stuff like that. I felt so bad for him. It was just like it touched my little heart as a parent.
That was very endearing, and I do really love the brother character and the soon-to-be sister-in-law as well. The one criticism I do have is I'm still sort of wondering how that pushes the story forward, other than them being, auxiliary, world building, characters. Maybe y'all have a little bit more to say on them, or if you feel like they did contribute more than just being, just there.
I would agree.
I would say it just reinforces the family unit, but they really didn't do anything to progress the story forward. It just showed like, this supporting family that she comes from, and her brother, like, in a way she always was kind of like, he gets whatever he wants, he's able to do this, and then where she felt that maybe he was like outshining her in the moments, we find out later that she is outshining him in the end. So but like that's the only thing that really he contributes to anything like to her. But just like the family element, they don't really do anything for her as a character or her story. It's just like she comes from this loving family, instead of like a lot of the characters that we see, the parents dying or like having this volatile this relationship with their parents where they don't get along. I think it was good to see a character in this universe have a complete supporting loving family. I think that's what was unique about her, is what's unique about Kamala Khan, though.
The comic writer said that. She said it was an uphill battle. Like, I have to make a character who has both her parents. Like, this is crazy.
Yeah, it's that kind of like shows like how much like we as like, I guess like an audience are used to our characters having some sort of trauma or suffering some sort of loss as a catalyst to push their story forward, and that's not the case here. So it's kind of like, how do we relate to her then if she has a loving home, loving family, and now all of a sudden she has like these awesome powers, and now she's just sort of like a normal teenage girl. So yeah, like for some folks, I can see how it might be a little challenging to find something to relate to her, but I think the show does do a good job to communicate the sense of feeling that you're not 100% like aligned to the world that you exist in, and you're kind of an outcast. So I think that feeling is universal enough to help the story, be successful for anyone who watches it, in my opinion. But sorry, go ahead, Chill.
Oh, there's subplots in here that go absolutely nowhere. So this is the one where, what's her name? Nakia was saying like, let's go on the mosque board. I'm going to get elected. Hey. And then she did the thing where she went around and she named all the cliques, and I feel like a lot of that was in there just so that they could sort of show you guys a world into the Islam community. And did that really build on anything? Did her winning the election and becoming a board member mean anything by the time we got to episode 6? No, it wasn't touched on. What they want.
They left Jersey City, which I think was bad. I
There
think
was
that they left these great characters in for lesser, I think that's part of the issue.
Well, they do diversity things for diversity reasons, like Taisha and Amir's wedding, and that I think that would episode 3, so I'm skipping ahead. But the whole thing, the relationship with those two, was, I guess, to show you guys how accepting and open this family is. And look, they're not racist. You shouldn't be racist either. Like I don't really see how it helped, other than we want to be diverse. There's actually a conversation Taisha and Amir have in episode 2, when they were explaining, hey, every family has a partition story and it's not very good. And I go, okay, that's a smooth way to get in your little history lesson to the audience. However, you're not bogging down the story. Then we get to episode 5 where we get the long version of that little story, and that kind of made me cringe. Yeah, a whole lot of diversity here, and unfortunately it was like the crux to the story rather than something that supported it or something that was just there on the side. The Ms. Marvel had a disadvantage of not being white, because the show creators, directors, writers felt like, oh, this is our only chance to crime in our culture or our religion too, or our culture, religion, the history of our country. This is our chance to do it now, or else, we're never going to get another opportunity like this. Which, because there's such few opportunities to get that, there's a little bit of truth to that. However, it, again, like, we would have had a much better story. We would have had more conversation between Bruno and Kamala about the powers, rather than a quick montage. This is not a movie where we got only 2 hours. This is a series. Like, prolong that. Let's see her. Okay, Kamala, try stretching and punching this. Oh, I can't do it. Come on, Kamala, you can do anything. And then you know what I mean? Like, give us a little bit of growth. Instead, we got a story that took us away from the superhero aspect of it.
That's actually something I did want to ask about as well, but because I personally am not 100%, well versed in how the incorporation of the partition history was, was it well executed for folks who have more agency to talk about that stuff? So I'm really glad that, Chill, you're here. So you
trust me, I don't have any. I don't think I have that much agency either.
Wait, no. I mean, sorry, I didn't mean like that, because I meant just the use of actual traumatic historical events for a marginalized group of people used in a work of fiction. So yeah, I do want to kind of get into that a little bit more. Sorry if I'm not the best at putting my words together, but I try to, walk on eggshells when I'm talking about a topic that I clearly do not have a whole lot to, contribute to. But I do want to highlight Snorlax's comment. I will say my knowledge of the character is mostly from the Champions comics. Never read her solo stuff. I'm hoping that they do a live action Champions. I do not know who the Champions are, so if y'all are familiar with this group of heroes or, characters, can y'all, speak to it at all?
It's her, it's Miles Morales and Nova, Sam Alexander version. And it's right after they leave the Avengers, the all new, all different Avengers. They were only on it for a year of comics. And then they said, screw you guys. You guys don't, you'll save the day, but you're not here to actually put the subway back in place. Viv Vision joins them. There's going to be a time displaced Cyclops. Ironheart joins. Brawn, aka the Hulk. Who else is there? Yeah, that's the main ones. Young heroes.
Got it. Okay, awesome. Yeah, and I just wanted to highlight Geeks with Cash's comment. Thank you, Nick. I wish they had wrapped up more of the symbolism of each of the parts of her costume. The vest was the blue. The red scarf was the one part of the broken necklace, the symbol. They could have wrapped that up. Yeah, the symbolism of the costume wasn't really touched on, surprisingly. I know that the S that looked kind of like a lightning bolt, sort of, it was her necklace, but I don't recall them stressing a whole lot about the significance of the shape or, the color scheme or anything like that. Were there parts that maybe I missed that y'all picked up on that the show did speak on?
Yeah, in the first episode, she's wearing a necklace with her name on it, but it's in Arabic, and the K is what looks like that lightning bolt in the alphabet. So that's what that was. I don't think they touched on it since. We were just supposed to sort of remember that.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Okay, and what's up, Ruby? And let's see, Gisa Cash says, nicely, but they sort of just went, hey, here's a suit I bought for you. Oh, I thought that the mother sewed it for her. I could be wrong.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. It was, yeah, her mother made it for sure, or her nanny. I mean, I assumed that it was her mother, and then then she put it in that toffee box and presented to her as a gift. That's how I took it. But again, it could have been Nani that did it and then sent it to her.
And Skakey and Marcus, we are doing full spoilers, so just a heads up if you want to avoid spoilers, but otherwise everyone is welcome to listen to us talk about each of the episode breakdowns. And,
is Disney Voldemort, Marcus? You couldn't say Disney? He says, I don't have the streaming service that has that show.
That's a good point. Yeah, what's up, Axel? Good to see you. Good to see you. And Moon, I haven't seen the show yet either. I got a lot of people who are hanging out, listening to spoilers, haven't watched the show yet. I would encourage y'all to watch it. It is a very cute show. I do, if y'all are familiar with Lizzie McGuire from Old School Disney Channel, that's the vibe that I kind of
they're too young for that.
Okay, yeah, it might be some people. That show's probably older than most of the people watching this stream right now. But yeah, that's
but when some people have called it Lizzie McGuire is a negative, I
mean,
yeah,
I don't. I personally don't mean it that way because I love.
I know
Lizzie
you.
McGuire.
I know you're not, but I know. I absolutely know that's not what you're doing, right?
Gordo was Bruno.
Oh, that's a good comparison. Yeah, and then Miranda is Aisha. Oh, wait, sorry. What? Oh, Nakia. Sorry, I called her Aisha. Sorry, I don't know where I got that name from.
That's the name of her great grandma.
Yeah.
Yes,
Aisha.
thank you. That's where I got the name from. And Kaden says she either made it or it's definitely from Karachi. Oh, the suit that.
Yeah. Well,
Kamala's
Nakia
mom.
says that in the school when she finally addresses her. She oh, look at that, look at the stitching. It must have come from Pakistan.
Ah, okay. Y'all remember all these fine details. Are you just rewatching the series multiple
Did you see
times?
my review I did for 40 minutes on the finale? Yeah, I rewatched it.
Got it. Okay, fair enough. And yeah, it is on Disney Plus, Marcus. And Mamoon says, I'm still on Hawkeye. Oh, you're a bit behind, just like me. I skipped Hawkeye, personally. From what I'm gathering, I didn't really miss out on much, though.
But
so.
you gotta watch it. If you're telling people gotta watch Ms. Marvel, I think you gotta watch Hawkeye also.
I think I think
I don't
Hawkeye,
know if that's how it works, though.
Right, Hawkeye, Ray. I want to say, I know we're talking about Ms. Marvel. It starts out very strong, and then it gets bogged down with too many storylines, but the beginning of it is really strong, and then the season finale is it beats this on a whole other Disney Channel level. This is like that show, it's bad in the end.
You know what? I will say that these 6 episodes flew by, and they're only 40-45 minutes long. I think I can do it. I think I can catch up with Loki and Hawkeye.
Definitely watch Loki. I think
Falcon,
you'll like
Winter
it.
Soldier. Yeah. Okay. All right. I think I can do that.
Rhea, you
Hawkeye, I
watch
don't
these shows.
I'm so behind, y'all. You
Hawkeye,
don't know.
I don't know if you might like it in the beginning, but the way you felt about Moon Knight, I don't know.
And let's see. Oh, it wasn't like Voldemort. I had to think for a second. Yeah, no worries, no worries. We were just joking, but yeah. Hawkeye is fine. It's not bad, but not good. Okay, so it's all
It's
right.
like midnight. Midnight.
Oh yeah, midnight. Yep. Geeks with Cash. Hawkeye I thought was pretty good overall. The concept of Hawkeye having to deal with just all the stuff he went through during his tenure with the Avengers was good stuff.
Yeah,
At
that
least
was
I
the
thought
best
so.
stuff about it.
Oh, his where he's at psychologically.
Yeah, all
after
the
that
trauma
stuff.
and
Okay.
then dealing with that and coming to terms with that. That's the best part of all of it.
Miss Marvel looks like Stargirl just from the trailers. Is that I don't know if that sounds like a good thing or bad thing because I don't watch Stargirl or any of the CW shows.
I heard K-Dot say it, and K-Dot said it in a nice way.
Got it. Okay.
No, he said it was a ripoff of Stargirl.
Well,
maybe he's what he told me, but he likes to troll me too. So you have a very different relationship with him than I do.
I just pulled up this clip from episode 3 that we jumped into earlier, where I think this is the wedding episode. Yeah, and
yes,
we were Chill. You were talking about how it doesn't necessarily push, or Ashley, you mentioned this too. It doesn't necessarily push the story forward, but it is sort of there for world building and stuff like that. So what were y'all's thoughts on this episode?
Okay, so even though all the stuff with the wedding really doesn't do anything for her as Ms. Marvel or her character, I thought it was great. I loved it. However, what I don't love is the Jinn, the clandestines. Like, it's like, okay, so at first I was like all on board. I was like, okay, cool, they're Jinn, and like, oh, I'm excited about this. But then when we get to this fight, I hated it. And they pull out like their belt and their generic weapons, and then the fight choreography is just, to me, a mess, and it's very cheesy. Like, I was like, this is why I don't like a team of villains, like a group of bad guys. They were just like the most generic villains. Like, they were on par with the Flag Smashers, but the Flag Smashers were a bit above them, just because the leader of the Flag Smashers was a little bit more compelling, not by much, but this was ridiculous. And then the stuff with Cameron, and then she's like, I'm just gonna leave my kid, and then it just, it's ridiculous. Like, I hated the end of the episode. Like, I just, it's just really, really bad. Like, I hated all of that. Like the fight in the kitchen. It just felt like I was watching Black Lightning on CW.
I did want to call out this article that was bringing up some unanswered questions as well. And yeah, to your point, Ashley, like the clandestines, like, why are they exiled? Who are they exactly? Like a lot of like the concepts that this show were starting to touch on are not really satisfactorily like explained or followed up on, because there's always this constant, need to get to the next point in the story in order to stop the not realms, but I forget exactly what dimensions from colliding and then destroying one another, basically. So the whole how did this even happen is not ever really established. So episode 3, when we're starting to actually get some like actual stakes established as far as like the lore of what Miss Marvel is and who the clandestines are, was it something that was making this show a little bit more interesting to you, or were you unhappy with how they were executing a lot of like these ideas?
No, it was a bang when they came in here and they said, listen, we're the clandestine. As much as I dislike it, as much I would like for her to be an inhuman with polymorph abilities to change her body to a different form, to stick to the canon. As cool as that would have been. No, they gave us another explanation. But using the word jinn to try to, I don't know, score some points with the Muslim community was like, it wasn't doing it for me. I don't feel like, hooray, my religion is canon now. Like, it's just... It didn't do anything. Like, I'm just going to call them the clandestines, as I always have been calling them the clandestines. Maybe if we had more time not on stuff like the Bollywood dance and the sort of the lame stuff, we would have had answers to this why they were exiled. And maybe if 17 minutes of the runtime in episode 5 didn't have to do with following Aisha, maybe we would have answers to why they are the way that they are, the relationship that Nejma has with Aisha and more.
Yeah, Kaden is agreeing with y'all. It was an interesting concept, but not an execution with not a lot of time. And my general sort of frustration with the last 2 Disney Plus Marvel shows that I've watched, including this one and Moon Knight, has just been, it feels like we're getting more content, but not much of that content has substance. Yeah, 45 minutes, 6 episodes each. I'm glad that it's not just, condensed to a movie, where I feel like I would still feel the same way. But yeah, when it comes to the show actually, fleshing out a lot of the, details that it's establishing, I'm just sort of left hanging, and I don't even know what the status is of like a next, series, or are we just going to jump into the next story with like the Marvels and not get any of these questions answered? That's where I'm worried.
That's what's gonna happen.
Think that here, and again, when you have different writers that come on board, and it seems like your showrunner's not really there, like with a lot of other series, like my favorite, like a Better Call Saul, they're always there overseeing that writing room, even though they might not be pinning that full episode. And then you bring in directors that are all not on the same board, and you get these episodes that are just tonally different, and they don't feel like they're connected in the bigger scheme of things. Like the first 2 episodes were 45 minutes, and I feel like we've got quite a bit. And then going into 3, it was in 4 and 5, these episodes got shorter, and I feel like they crammed so much into it. And the stuff with the clandestines, it was like, it's cool. Here is these clandestines, and let me throw in the fact that they're Jinn. And at first I was like, oh, that's really cool, but it was just pandering. Like you don't do anything else with it. You just throw that out there and say they're Jinn, but then you don't explore really what Jinn are.
A few episodes later, they said that, listen, if you would have appeared in like Norway, then we would have said God, because that's what they called Thor. Like, or no, actually, what they said was if Thor appeared here, he would be called a Jinn too. I think that's what they said instead. Like, and it's just the go-to word for supernatural beings in this region is Jinn. So Jinn it is.
So the people in Talo in that realm, I guess they're Jinn too. It just was stupid. Like, why throw out there, because like what Jinn are, they could and then be like, oh, but we're really clandestines, and they're not one and the same. And it just, to me, just felt like a moment where they were truly pandering. And I, in my opinion, it just seemed like, let me put this in here for a point. And a lot of the episode, I know that, Chill feels that way for a lot of the season, but I was interested in seeing a little bit more of this stuff so I could understand culturally Kamala's world. So for me, I liked a lot of it, but the Jinn thing, I've seen it done in other series, and the explanation and it actually made me interested, and I looked it up and have a bit of information and knowledge here, but I feel like here it was just used, as a check mark, and that was really sad there. We didn't even need to do it.
The checkmark stuff was obvious, but in episode 3, there was also when Agent Deaver sort of entered with her shoes on the carpet, and I'm like, ooh, that's dark.
I peeped that too.
She had some Zimmerman tendencies, because she was told, hey, do not pursue in the final episode, and she still went ahead and she sent her forces into that school, right?
She was very indicative of federal agencies and how they treat Muslims in this country.
And they and they checked that box. They'd sure let you know about that. Remember?
But to me, that one, it didn't bother me as much.
I'll give you that, Ashley. I'll give you that, because if you keep doing it is when I have the problem. If you have a little one-liner here and there, I could forgive some, but they did more than just some.
I actually jumped ahead to episode 4, where the open-ended questions of what is the bangle? How did these powers, manifest from it? No real, payoff from that. But
but look at the way that the series ended. With the finale, we know that Captain Marvel and that bangle are associated. So maybe we're not supposed to know.
Maybe that will come in the Marvels. Yeah, I think you're right. That part I'm not 100% mad on. It is more or less just establishing that the stakes in this season are the dimensions colliding, and the clandestines looking to find their way back to their dimension at the risk of destroying the other one that they're currently in. So yeah, but yeah, episode 4, introduction of Red Dagger and them being in Karachi, the city in
City
Pakistan.
of Lights, as it says.
Yeah. What were y'all's thoughts on this episode while we're watching this clip of a recap? Meh.
Did not like it. I just, again, I feel like they were trying to cram in as much as they could in this show, and instead of focusing on Jersey City and the people there, Bruno and her supporting characters that are there, which were a lot more interesting, right? Especially Bruno, who was helping her do a lot of this stuff, discovering her power set and working with her. and their interactions and Cameron, and then taking them away, and then like taking her to Karachi and like introducing the Red Daggers, and I like her Nani, like, but the cousins and all these other characters, I just feel like they were not as interesting. And I felt like episode 4, I just was like, it was just a mess. And to me, it just seemed like it was very forced. Like her whole fight scene, you know, with the Red Dagger. What's his name? I forget his character's name.
Kareem, I think.
Kareem. Like that whole thing, and then her discovering, and you know, they're the mortal enemies of the Jinn and the clandestines, and then all of a sudden, within the next second, it was a quick, you know, turnabout. Oh, but you're the granddaughter of Aisha. Okay, you're cool, and it just, and then he dies, like the leader of the Red Daggers, who's like this great, you know, mortal enemy. He dies just like that, and then
with no blood.
With no blood, he falls down, he's stabbed, and then we see the clandestines again with their trash weaponry in this horrible fight sequence, and in the end we get the stab in the bangle. I'm sorry, what's the leader of the clandestines? I keep forgetting. Najma. Like, the character is written poorly, okay? And then the performance on top of that is just as bad. I just feel like they should have completely removed that element from the series, and then just made it like this federal agency and it would have kind of like grounded it a bit more. That was the villain, because I felt like even though you only gave us bits and pieces of it with the DODC, I thought that their whole conflict was a little bit more interesting than the clandestines, and that's just my opinion. I did not like episode 4 at all. Like, besides Nani, and some, you know, I can't. And I mean, even Kamala, she didn't seem like she had the same charm and charisma. She seemed, and it wasn't Aman Vellani's fault. It was the script and the things that she was directed to do that I feel like that like weighted her character down. And then again, it's just like you're introducing me to a bunch of freaking characters, another little boy for her to interact with, and it just was like, what are you? It just was sloppy. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't like it.
Chill, how about you? Because a lot of like the world building and empathy, I guess, scenes where she's going through just, you know, finally being a regular teenage girl, feeling comfortable in her skin and having confidence. I can totally empathize with that. It's just that having that alongside this, you know, this grand spectacle of world-ending stakes, while this like one teenage girl is having this like sort of like self-discovery journey alongside of it, it seems very like it seems like a mismatch, and it's two different stories happening alongside each other, and it's very jarring when they kind of like shift, like whenever they want back and forth between spreading awareness on, like, you know, her culture and, you know, her family dynamic and, you know, her journey to self-discovery versus, like I said, these world-ending stakes that this season of the show is trying to, you know, convince us are on a mass, you know, scale. So I don't know, what is your take on that up until episode 4 anyway?
Well, when we get to episode 4, how long does it take for her to actually speak to her Nani, which is the reason she's there? She's remember the phone call? I saw the same train as you did. Oh, okay, then let's hear about how you and where you saw the train. Let's actually begin the episode there. But no, we didn't. Instead, we had to do the montage of look at the city. We had the writers and the director had to take advantage of this is the first time that millions of people are going to be experiencing this country. Let's display it in the best way possible. That's noble. It's also not part of the superhero plot of this show. So if we had time away from, you can't wear jeans here because it's too hot, or biryani is really spicy, and scenes like that, if we had time, maybe we could have fleshed out her dialogue, especially when she met with the Red Dagger. She was over there fighting, he's throwing knives at her, and just a minute later, hey, just follow me if you want to live. Okay. What? I don't want my kids watching this show and what I don't want, and this happened with Rey, for all you Reylos, for 3 movies, Kylo Ren was out here trying to kill her, and then at the end she kisses him. No, we don't need that message. If guys are throwing knives at you, you can't just be okay with them a few minutes later, girls. Men who hurt you are bad.
You heard that, Tim? We're calling you out.
Oh, I thought you were gonna heard that, Tim, because men who hurt you are bad. I thought like, whoa, what happened? Yeah, Tim.
I'm just kidding, Tim.
I agree completely with everything ChillMonger just said. It's just
the benefit of this character is that she, unlike the others, she's not white, and she has a little bit of a new culture that hasn't been shown, and that also became a handicap. It's not blasphemy; it's true.
I'm gonna jump to episode 5, where so I am getting the sense that y'all found this episode to be very unnecessary, very just like breaking the
we could skip this one actually. Just go 6.
I loved this episode. I'm sorry, I found myself tearing up, and I feel like the pandering that I get the sense that y'all are kind of calling out, I do understand where that is coming from. It's just that I felt that this type of episode where the world building was focused on events from the past in detail and helping me build empathy for the events that led up to it to the present, that was missing for me
in the real
Moon Knight,
life,
for example.
You mean like in real life, or do you mean in or the plot of like Miss Marvel? What are you talking about?
Sorry,
you mean
I
you had
the
empathy
plot.
because of the people who divided that country had to suffer from splitting up and walking to the west? Like, was that what you mean?
That, yes. And now that some time has passed, though, I feel that, okay, this use of historical events to kind of, I guess, get me to feel more empathetic for these characters, it makes me kind of feel kind of gross thinking about it that way, because like it's essentially being used to push a story forward rather than actually educate the audience on like actual traumatic events. So this is where I wanted to get some feedback from y'all on this episode. I know you mentioned we should skip it, but yeah, like what are your thoughts on how this episode kind of tackles that topic?
I agree with you, Rhea. Like, it does pull on my emotional, strings, and it gets me. And while I enjoyed a lot of those emotional beats, I felt that for Kamala's story, we didn't need a lot of it. You know what I mean? That was the problem. If you condensed it down into a 10-minute sequence, I think you could have, it could have had the same impact. While I enjoyed learning about Aisha and her family history and things like this, but I felt like the partition was always kind of there, and we had heard about it, and then here it is again. While I feel like where we already knew about these events from prior episodes, because they were setting this up and explaining the history of it a bit. I think that you could have shown us that in 10 minutes where you already set it up throughout the show, instead of doing what it was the episode was 40 minutes, and then, and more than half of it was focused here. And then the parts of the episode that I really liked was when you go back to Bruno and Cameron in Jersey City. Mainly I enjoyed it
because that had to do with the plot, because that was continuing what we
Yeah.
knew about.
And so I feel like you could have got to that, she was always meant to go back and do this and close that loop and save her grandmother, right? I think you could have done all of that in 10 minutes. And I would have been like, fine, I enjoyed it, but to me it really didn't do anything for the overall story of Kamala Khan, really. But
Look at the love story between what was her name, Aisha, and the guy with the leg. All right, hey, as great as that story is, let me tell you.
2 minutes.
But, thank you. We didn't need that. It didn't progress anything. Every knowledge that we attained from that and this flashback, it's not like it transferred over to Kamala. Because as soon as Kamala gets to meet with her great grandmother, it's the day she dies. So it's not like as she was dying, she's like, hey, I'm your great grandmother, I'm a clandestine, you should know this and that. No knowledge transferred over. Nothing. Like all of that she experienced in the show that we watched, I'm talking about Aisha, didn't matter. So instead, if we would have used those minutes on something which also happened in this episode, was Kamala's mom. What? Go ahead, read
Tim's point. It says, you go ahead, Rhea.
Oh yeah, episode 5 did feel like a filler episode. I like emotional beats and the two worlds kind of colliding. It would be more forgivable if the series had 8 to 10 episodes.
Yeah, it did feel like filler.
It would. I would say that it's cool. What's her name? The mother and Kamala, they found out that, oh no, you're actually that superhero. Oh, and then the grandmother was there too. And what the show writers wanted to do was show you that this loving family of 3 generations of women, because they want to score those women points too. And they had this big group hug, and that's what they were going for. That's what they accomplished. I'm looking at it like, this is a big revelation. You better stick here. I want the mom to look at the grandma and say, oh, so all those stories you were telling me, they were completely true, huh? I feel so bad because I would shun you, and I would just, I thought this whole time you were this crazy lady with the theories. I wanted her to have like an emotional breakdown of, this is all too much for me. Oh, my daughter's actually going to be a superhero. Like, give us that. That's a big deal. It's
We didn't
a
see
big
any
moment.
of that.
Unfortunately not, because that wasn't the priority. It's not a superhero show. This was a diversity checklist show.
To Taint's point, I think they just wanted a little bit more clarification on your point.
Not being
ChillMonger.
white is a benefit. Oh, Caucasians suck. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, no, I think the point you were trying to make is that Kamala is basically the audience's gateway to learn more about the for Disney to get this checklist out of the way, as far as like the cultural representation, using history to promote the story, get the ethos, or like not the ethos, but like the empathy factor from using these historical traumatic events as basically plot threads to get the audience to be committed to the story a little bit more, because now they have, like I said, this empathy for these characters. So essentially using her culture as a way to manipulate the audience to like the property a lot more. I think that's roughly the point that you were trying to make. Right?
That's like one of the reasons, yeah.
Okay,
like
cool.
There's a lot of reasons
one.
why not being white is a benefit. Like the freaking wall decorations in her house are going to be different than what Hawkeye had. She's not white. It's a benefit. Because everyone else is white. Because everyone else that we got to see and spend hundreds of millions of dollars on happen to be white families.
Taint mentions, I'm a Muslim myself, and I don't think that the Muslim world really cares that much for a show. I cannot speak for all, of course.
Nah, you can speak for all. I agree with you, Taint.
A few of my friends who are Muslim and Pakistani, they really enjoyed it. So it's just like,
did they
whatever
enjoy
you connect.
the inaccurate moments, like when Kamala and her Nakia were late for prayer, but for some reason they got to the front row? Like, how does that work out? What about the fact that the imam who was giving that speech there, he was giving it after the prayer, which is opposite of what happens on a Friday. It's usually the talking part first and then the prayer comes second. During the prayer, they were going really quickly. Taint, if you're watching, maybe you can confirm this, but every rak'ah was speedy. I guess they really wanted to get Allahu Akbar on screen like 5 different times per minute. Oh my God. The shoe rack moment in episode 6 was terrible. They made it seem like we have freaking hiding places behind where our shoes are for like these fugitives who are hiding from the Department of Damage Control. Like, it was poor representation when it came to the religion, I thought.
Actually, I have the clip ready for episode 6, so season finale. Just to sort of like give us an idea of where where the show has like taken us to where it landed us. Ashley, I know we mentioned some of the post-credit scenes, but before we get into those, before even seeing those, what were your thoughts on how you saw the season wrapping up before the post-credit scenes?
Well, the Captain Marvel stuff we'll get to. I wasn't surprised by that, okay? But before, obviously, once we find out, the Jenner and the clandestine are gone, Cameron. Just like I called in episode 3, I knew the DODC was going to be the main villain at the end of this show, so I wasn't surprised that that's where we ended up. I knew that Cameron was going to have a moment where he was conflicted and, the bad guy in a moment. And it felt very like, even though I thought it was cute, after I rewatch it, it's just like Home Alone, like little hijinks, they're them all dressing alike, and I know no one really got hurt during that, but it was just like these dumb, like DODC, like kind of like SWAT agents, like this unit that goes in, and they just were just like the dumbest guys I've ever seen. Like we saw how dumb they were at episode 3 when they just are, there's one of them guarding the clandestine, and then they're just, able to escape, and it's just like they're just dumb guys, and it's just like, they keep falling for these dumb pranks. It seems like, you might fall for the first one, possibly the second. But if you're like, well versed in like tactical tactics, you're not just gonna keep falling for these little kids, like little antics. And then I thought that was silly. And then like when Cameron like finds out that his mom's passed away, and he like takes off running, and he's like. And he's like running, and he's like, no, like it just felt like this little 6-year-old kid that's like, I'm taking my ball and I'm running home, as he's like saying, why didn't you tell me? And it just felt like unnatural as he's like facing forward, running away from her, but saying, why didn't you tell me that my mother was dead? It just seemed very strange. It seemed like it would have been more of a powerful moment that if he said this to her face instead of like running away from Kamala. So I thought that was strange. I mean, he could run away after that. I just thought that it was weird. But I did kind of like this moment where she was like connecting with Cameron, and it kind of plays into this, Bruno and thing. And I'm glad that, nothing happened between them. And then Bruno, he comes in. I just adore Bruno. I think he's just like adorable. And he comes in and he's like kind of hurt, but he's like, we got to stay on this mission. But other than that, I felt like it was kind of a good moment, like later, because we finally got to see her embiggen, even though it's like a different type of embiggen, and she used the word, and then like her like calming Cameron down, and I like the shield and the two of them. I thought that looked really cool. So there were things that I at times I felt like it was really strong. Sorry, man.
I would say that I disliked this whole episode, and like. But I also liked some parts too. It was a lot of superhero-y stuff when we got to like powers and people shooting guns at you. That's kind of imaginative. But like, damn, the revelation that to the dad was kind of like, oh, it happened off screen, huh? I guess he already found out through the mom. Like, what was the need for that? Like I keep saying, it's 6-episode series, not a movie. You can actually flesh out these. That's the strength of these Disney Plus series. Have that conversation flow. See what he says to her, because when he, like I told you, he in the comics he finds out, but then he forgets. But when he actually found out, he was pretty fuming at her. I'll pull up that page in a second. I think that the episode ended with them talking, Kamran and Kamala, and then she's like, "Okay, I'm just gonna punch the floor. Go down there, go down the hole, and you'll be fine." I'm sorry, what? How? What? Did you just punch the floor? There's a hole, and then everything's good? I don't understand that at all. Isn't there like tunnels? Isn't there like a subway system in Jersey City? Don't they have like pipes and a whole what? How does just punching the bottom of the ground solve everything? If this was a superhero show, we'd have better explanation for that.
Well, she punched it so hard that she busted through it all, and she didn't cause any, waters and floods, and he was able to get right
to the harbor.
Into Karachi.
Hey, there was a moment where Kamran actually threw a blast at her. I think it was inside the school. And yeah, same thing with the Red Dagger kid. Okay, I don't want you kissing this guy anymore in season 2. I don't want you to, none of that. This guy put his hands on or attacked you, so none of that.
Yeah, but prior it was kind of like, oh, but then it's like, no, let him be here.
She was blushing in episode 3 when Najran was like, "You're right, she is really cute," and she was like, That's how I get girls. It's a very familiar face, actually. They do that for me all the time.
Oh, wow.
On that note, I was pulling up the clips of the post-credit scenes. The first ones being the mutant reveal, which while I'm pulling up that awesome clip, I will not play the audio because I don't want to get sniped, but I will show the clip regardless. So yeah, what are y'all's thoughts on that while I'm pulling up the clip?
Okay, this is where, it was cool, and I'm willing to see where it takes us. But now the story is so messy. It's like, oh, well, you're part Nor. Oh, but nobody in your family.
There's the nega bands also. That's with
your
pre-origin.
Your family, no one has this mutation, but somehow does your great grandmother being a Nor cause this mutation in your genes, and it skips a generation, and but the clandestines are here, and then you got the nega band, and that's Kree technology. Are we going to say that Kree are the ones who experimented and they created this mutation that might need to be accessed in humans now? And then it makes me concerned a bit. Are you going to say Captain Marvel might be a mutant? I'm a little worried of a bit, kind of now the more I think about it, but it's just I could have been okay if you didn't bring in the clandestine, and I would have been okay, let's see where this goes. If it was just the DODC and she had the nega band, and then it unlocked this mutation. Okay, cool. But the fact that the clandestines are in here, and then that it's just you were oh, we're going this clandestine route, and then oh, well, here's the final script, because we hear from Amon Vellani. They send this over at the last minute and say, this is how we're going to introduce mutants, and then you've got what?
So she admitted it was a reshoot at the end?
No, she said that she didn't get the final script until I guess later on, and that she was the only one at that time that knew that mutation line was there. But she didn't.
Bruno says that he has to know too.
No, she knew. She was the only one that got before it was time to shoot.
Script. I got you.
Yeah, and so it was just. I feel like that's where it gets messy, because you had the clandestine here, and then you add the mutant stuff and the Kree technology. It's what are you trying to tell me? So she's part Nor, and does that call the mutation? But it doesn't call the mutation in her mother, her brother, but just her.
All I know is there's no Terrigenesis
and nega bands and mutants.
And they had the
everybody
10
gets
rings.
The
10 rings logo was there on the cement in the castle. Yep.
I wanted to highlight Taint's comment. The way ChillMonger talks about it reminds me of Indian sitcoms I saw on Turkish TV, where a guy treated the girl 9 times like shit and was nice the 10th time, and then she was fine with him. That sounds terrible. I don't know in what universe that's supposed to be okay, but yeah, I don't like the sound of that. But Chill, is that similar to what you were describing, or is that completely off?
Oh, I don't even watch these shows. No, I have no idea what he's talking about. But yeah, sure, that's terrible.
Kaden says, I think her mutant ability is her access to the Nor, and the Bangle/Neg band helps her control it.
A better explanation than the show gave us.
I mean, I get that. I that's what I believe, but it just seems like you're just doing a lot. You're doing a lot.
Let's see. Okay. Last post-credit scene before we go into our final thoughts on the show. Go ahead and share that. Cool. Awesome.
You're going to answer your DMs? Holy.
Oh, no. I'm going to open them so I can get rid of the notification, but never reply to any of them.
Do that. Only select ones.
Exactly. But yeah, okay, so like I was saying earlier, I feel like the Mutant Reveal and the Miss Marvel thing really just overshadowed the entire show for a lot of people. And after talking with y'all and hearing your thoughts on it, I'm wondering if that's just, because the show itself was just so lacking in substance that these last 2 reveals were the only thing of substance that people could actually get excited about and find worthwhile to talk about. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Well,
on
that's the point of them. They're supposed to lead to the future and have people theorizing and talking about it.
Fair.
Sorry.
No,
No,
sorry.
go ahead.
I just
sorry.
wanted to highlight Snorlax's comment really quick. It'd be cool if the band was a quantum band and they brought Quasar into the Marvel films because he's searching for it. Quasar is a character in the comics, right? That's yet to be introduced. I'm assuming.
He is. I don't know much about him.
Fair enough.
At first, I thought that it could be the quantum bands because we're like dealing with quantum technology. But like I said, I don't know a lot about, the Shazam, who was the Captain Marvel character, because I didn't read that, version of Captain Marvel. And then being, and then learning about his interaction with the Negabands. And then actually I ordered the comic, so I'm going to read it to get more information about how he would be in the negative zone and switch back and forth. It does sound like it's a Negaband thing to me, because of the teleportation and the switching of the two characters. But I have to read the source material to understand it completely. And that's what I'm going to do.
Nice.
Super
At
fair.
first, I thought, oh, look, she's changing her form. Yes, Kamala. And then it does kind of look like this is Carol Danvers.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, oh, I'm in this room. What's going on
It is,
here?
yeah. Because if she was changing form, she would be looking in a mirror. She wouldn't be confused about her surroundings. But I do like Carol's new look. I love the gloves. I love the suit. I love the navy combat boots. And I'm excited. And Nia DaCosta, she actually shot this end credit scene here for the show, and with Tiana Parrish coming in, having a bigger role because what we saw of her in WandaVision, and hopefully she's not Photon, because I don't think that makes a lot of sense, but a lot of people think that she's going to be Photon, but I don't think that matches.
What do you
and
want?
Plus, Spectre, I can't remember the name
No,
right
Spectrum,
now.
yeah. I like
Okay,
Spectrum too.
And then you think about it, I don't think she's going to be Photon, because her mother, when you look at that, in WandaVision, she was called Photon. So I think that's the nod to the Photon character, and her power set doesn't really fit Photon. So I'm excited to see the dynamic of Ms. Marvel being this super fan and loving Carol, in this version of Monica Rambeau not really being happy with her, and how do these three characters come together. So I am excited for this film. Because the Captain Marvel, for me, I'm not one of those people that thinks it's horrible, but I did have a lot of issues with the script and certain things that happened in the film. But I love her new look. I love you could see a different energy with
Rhea
Captain
said
Marvel.
that she looked snatched.
She looked
Yes.
Body. I mean,
body
she's been-
BAWDY.
Oh my gosh, she looked. And then I love her hair. I love the gloves. I love the boots. I love it all. I love that. I love the suit. She is. I'm telling you, Brie Larson, what's your number? Because I might call you today. Okay, that's how
really, really
fine
good.
she looked amazing. And Kamala, I love her look. And then you put in Tiana Parrish, you're gonna. Three, I mean, one's, she's 19 in real life, but she plays a kid. The three of them are going to be some bad looking women in here. They're going to be looking good. I'm sorry. Tiana
They're
Parrish.
going to be Stanley's Angels.
Yes, she's got, I can't wait.
Spidey's
And I
Angels.
feel that they have a lot of charisma. And I think that this Carol is going to have a lot more personality, which will make sense this time around, because she's not confused about who she is. And
No, that's
she's
no excuse.
escaped
She
that.
should have smiled more. Nope. We're not accepting that.
But she shouldn't have, because of because she was a free
she had her
soldier.
mind
She's
wiped.
not supposed, and she wasn't, and she's trained not to show emotions, to suppress that. So it made sense for who she is in that film. But now she has her memories and who she is, so she's going to have more personality this time around.
She has her memory back. She knows why it's called the cockpit. Everything will be fine.
And saving Kamala, and trying to figure out, where is this young girl that I've done switched places with, and is she gonna reach out to Monica, and then Monica is gonna be like, get out of here, you didn't care about my mama when she was dying. I'm
That's
really
gonna be
excited.
a big scene. Yeah.
I can't wait for it. And Nia DaCosta, I love her Candyman remake movie. So I'm excited to see what she does because I think she has a cool vibe when it comes to directing style. So we got new writers, we got it all. So yes, give me the Marvels. I want it right now.
Last thought
Sorry, that
as
was
far
a
as
lot.
unanswered question. No worries. Yeah, this is awesome. What are y'all's take on, is Kamala headed to the Avengers or the X-Men as far as what we're
I
left
guess
with?
X-Men now. I guess that the next series she's going to be in is some sort of Academy X series where she's going to be the new kid in Professor X's. We're already familiar with her. We can meet a couple new mutants. That's what we'll do.
That. I don't think she, like, if they send her, like, that'll be a lot. They can't like send her
to a school for gifted youngsters. That's exactly where she deserves to be.
I mean, like, okay, but like I think that's taking her mutant thing to a level that we don't need to go to. Like, I don't want to see her like chilling, in the school of Professor X. Like, I think that she's already, by the time they come along, is going to be so evolved that she's going to be past that. Like, she might interact with them, but nah, let's not do that. I can deal with the mutation thing, but don't try to make her like an X-Men character and like infuse her so much in that storyline, because that
Jubilee.
No, she's not. No. No.
To answer Taint Snake's question, I'm pretty sure that they do speak Urdu in the show.
The most impactful moment that they speak Urdu is when they're delivering the name of Kamala's superhero name. She's like, the dad said in Arabic, Kamala means perfect because, you were going to be you weren't supposed to have you, but, you're a perfect girl. We called you perfect. And then he said, but Kamala in Urdu, it means to wonder, to marvel. So you're our own little Miss Marvel. And he said Miss Marvel. That's the thing. That's my beef. Guys, okay. Miss, M-I-S-S, is a word that we use for women who are not married. You're a miss, okay? Got it? Okay, cool. Then there's Mrs., all right? Mrs. is M-R-S because you're married to somebody. And then there's this other word, M-S period. And the way that it sounds, guys, is Ms. Like I said, M-I-Z, Ms. So M-S period sounds like Ms. And that's Kamala's name, Ms. Marvel. Not Miss Marvel. If you say Miss Marvel, you're saying it incorrectly, everybody. Now that you know, never make that mistake again. Hashtag Ms. sounds like Ms.
Yeah, and Ms. sounds very country. So just, if you have a hard time, just try to sound like me when you say any, and you'll probably get it.
And I did want to... Ilbert Matic, good to see you. Miss Marvel might end up in either X-Men movie. Definitely see that besides Captain Marvel 2.
Oh, God, I hope not. That would be... I mean, like, unless she's like, hey, guys, how are you? I'm about to go over here. Like, other than that, no, don't do it.
And
sorry.
Jacob's agreeing with you, Ashley, saying, yeah, if I watch Miss Marvel, it's because of Nia DaCosta. And Tim saying Brie Larson got into superhero shape. She definitely did.
She did.
She looks great. But yeah, this show, y'all, 6 episodes deep. So many unanswered questions, but it sounds like in general we're excited for where the show is, headed. The road to get there is still very much, kind of murky, but it sounds like we're all really invested and at least interested to some extent to see where they go from here. So yeah, Taint saying thank you for explaining ChillMonger.
I do have a question for ChillMonger, because I know that he's being quite. I mean, he gave his opinion, but is someone who was really connected to Miss Marvel as a comic book character. How did you overall, like, in conclusion of the show, feel? Just
this wasn't
general.
The same character. This was like so weird. Well, finish your question though.
That's what I wanted to, that was it. Yeah, in the series.
As soon as you change the superhero powers, it's like, bro, it's not the same thing. No character has ever gotten that in any DC, Marvel, anything. And they changed her superhero powers. It was so disrespectful to the character. And then they're also changing the origins of it. There's also like adding to her. Like, they don't really care about Kamala Khan. Feige didn't even know her name was Kamala Khan. Do you remember back in the D23 in 2019? He's like, introducing Kamala Khan. All right, guys. All right. You're just doing it because her skin is brown and you want to show the world how you're not racist. This is an actual diversity. This isn't like a meaningful representation initiative. this is
You don't think it was the popularity of the character as well? Because like she
wasn't
did.
popular enough for him to know the name.
But that's like, okay, I'm not trying to sound, but like you know what I'm saying. Like a lot of times white people have a hard time getting our names correct. Like my kid, I'm not going to say my kid's name. My kid has a pretty easy name. Okay? It's not difficult. We go places in doctor's offices and they can't pronounce it. It's very, very easy. So it's kind of like a very, no offense, a very whiteness, a very thing to do. If it's not like, a very standard, like basic run-of-the-mill name is all I'm saying. And then, and so that's how I take it with the names. Like, even though you're completely wrong in butchering someone's name,
hey,
I feel that that maybe he was interested in the character and bringing the character on, but
Look who decided to join us.
He just couldn't not pronounce it at all.
What's up, Trinity? How are you?
Nothing much. Good. How are you all doing today? I apologize for being late.
It feels like you didn't want to talk about the show because we're just about to end it after going through all the clips.
Of course. No, you know what's funny is I've been here at the house working on my truck, and I took a break and I was like, I think that thing's starting soon. And you said 6 p.m. Well, I'm on the West Coast, and that's what I completely didn't even think
Oh, that's not your fault at all, Trinity. That's all on Rhea. What?
I put EST.
Yeah, I think she did.
I think she did. For Ashley and Chill.
Yeah.
Who are always on time, always courteous, always early.
I was a few minutes late.
I think I just forgot.
That's all good.
My kid had a crisis, so that's why he always has a crisis right before I'm about to go on a stream. It feels like.
I did want to give you an opportunity to kind of give us an idea of what your feels is for the show, like where it left off and what the future is in your prediction, I guess.
Well, I thought the show was really good. I think throughout the course of the show, I've kind of hailed it as the most fun and entertaining thing that they put out in Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I have various different reasons I feel that way. And to me, it's kind of actually even upsetting in a way, too. Just for various different reasons as well. But I thought the show itself was good. I mean, I'm sure ChillMonger probably talked about some of this stuff, like with the representation of the culture and things like that. I like seeing a lot of those things in this show, but at the same time, I kind of feel like the show is also, like, as much as it's showing like the culture and stuff, that, I also feel like it's trying to give a middle finger to kind of those same traditional values, even of their culture. And I think they really did too much of that in the show, considering there's only 6 episodes. I think, when you only got 6 episodes, you've got to put as much in there as you can. And they just spent too much time on a lot of that stuff. But as far as the other things, like the family, Kamala Khan, I thought was excellent. I think Iman Vellani playing Ms. Marvel is absolutely great. I think she, just in this little series, I think it's like her first real acting gig. I think she's done really, really well. She was a character that I liked, and I was like, hey, I can't wait to see more of this character. And I've never read the comics or anything, so I don't really... I mean, I've read some issues that, like, she's in, like, some of the stuff through, like, Civil War II and Secret Empire and things like that. So, I think it was very good at just kind of getting the feel of the character, where obviously they did change her powers here in the show through different various means. And I think that that's fine, that's cool, change a little bit of stuff, but, in this last episode, it seems like we got this kind of reveal that she's a mutant and not an inhuman. And the thing is, like, I think it's so weird that we're everybody's sitting around kind of thinking and talking about that, considering that they were calling her enhanced, which is what we called Wanda for years because Captain America said it, and who's going to argue with that guy, right? And so we got that, and then they've been kind of calling them enhanced throughout this, and then they say And he doesn't even say, the way Bruno explains, he's like a mutation in your genes, which really isn't exactly what the X gene is. I mean, the X gene is an X gene. It's not exactly a mutation. But anyway, the point being, but they also played the little music, like the little X-Men music, it seemed like. And I do kind of think, like, I feel like they did that on purpose, but I also feel like there's still not really a confirmation that she is a mutant. And for all we know, like I said, we ran for years with thinking that Wanda is just enhanced. And, you know, it still hasn't even come out that she is a mutant either. But I think the thing is, like, later along down the lines, you learn things that you didn't previously know before through unlocking your past or anything like that. And I kind of think maybe that's kind of a case of what we might have going on here. Altogether, I thought the show was very good, fun, enjoyable. Definitely something... The thing I've enjoyed most in the Phase 4 Marvel Cinematic Universe, be it the movies or shows, something that's, like I said, fun, entertaining. I can rewatch this, and it would put a smile on my face. And like I said, I have different reasons why I feel that way.
That's awesome. While you were talking, a lot of the folks were responding to points that you were making, so I wanted to highlight those from the chat. Show saying the show hit closer to me as a Muslim, but at the same time, it did kind of tilt on the quote-unquote woke side of things.
That's not woke. That's not woke,
did a
though.
bit too much world building. I agree. But yeah, like for
That's
folks
not
who
what woke is.
Right. Sorry. I'm just trying to kind of preface, like, for folks who are tuning in who may have like a different definition of what the word woke means. My panelists, actually, have some insight to share on, the
and it's just a misinterpretation.
So,
it's overused and it's used incorrectly. Okay, when we're thinking of what is woke, it's steeped in Black consciousness. So if it's not about Black culture, something inherently cannot be woke. And I am going to say it, and I don't care if people keep using the word improperly, and if it has become this other thing. As a woke individual who's very steeped in my culture and Black consciousness, stop taking words and hijacking words from my community and making them negative and then making them mean something other than what they represent. Because the word woke has been around since 1937, people. Stop it. Get it out of here.
I completely agree with Ashley on that point, and I just want to kind of say, like, Show's a good
back to
friend
show,
of the channel,
back to
and
show.
Also, yeah,
let me just say to Show.
He
just
is
define what you
descent,
mean by
yes,
woke.
Show, you're awesome.
Can you actually write what you mean rather than using the word woke, and then we can comment on it?
Right. The comments, or not the comments, but like the number of characters you're able to put in a comment definitely do not do a service to having this type of conversation. So I totally wanted to just add some qualifiers there, like that you may be trying to make a point, but unfortunately the amount of characters that you're using isn't, doing you justice to try and communicate that point effectively.
Ray is just trying to keep her viewers.
I'm trying to, ride the fence as best as I can right now.
I'm just saying, like, it really,
Can you full screen me for a second? This was the recent... No, okay, maybe you can't, but... Oh, there you go.
Oh, there you go.
There's him finding out about Kamala, and if you can read the word bubble, you actually can't because I'm shaking. But he's like, what? You're doing God knows what? Out at night? Okay, fine. You're not gonna be no superhero anymore. And she was mad about that. I was hoping that it would center, but it didn't. You can end the full screen.
I do want to call out some more comments because as soon as Trinity hopped on, the chat got extra spicy. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of, before we wrap up, I just want to make sure I get to everyone. Mutant and Proud, absolutely. Show saying the X-Men cartoon Stinger played so well so that you want to think mutants. Okay, and yeah, to y'all's point, it's not 100% like confirmed.
It will be. Watch at Hall H in 6 days. They're gonna say, "Oh, did you guys like it? Kamala's a mutant, and here's gonna be the Cyclops actor and the Professor X."
I think it was wise to change her powers, says 1,000-word pitchers who wants their hands to get big.
But they do get big.
We didn't really talk about that as far as like why, like y'all's thoughts on changing the powers. I don't have any connection to the source material, so I didn't feel one way or the other. But y'all definitely read the source material. So what did you think?
It's terrible because every other character doesn't have their powers change. The Green Lantern's always been the Green Lantern. He put his ring and green things happen. Captain America's always had a shield with him. Super Soldier Serum. I can run down the list. Why are we getting this one wrong? Probably because we don't really care about the superhero aspect of her. We just care about, hey, brown-skinned girl, diversity points.
Fair enough. And Show says, I also think Marvel will explain that they wanted Ms. Marvel to be a mutant all along. Yeah, I think that's what the creator of the character mentioned. We touched on that earlier in the show. I would love to have those powers. It would be awesome. Did you just quote Thanos? Never read her comic. I got Avengers game. That's how I learned about her character. I think that was an introduction for a lot of people to who that character was. The power of anaphylaxis. Yeah, I'm not sure what that word means. Sorry.
But look, if you look at Kamala from the video game, her animated appearances, comics, and everything, they're all the same. She can be a polymorph and big in her body, and then we get this version here, which complicates things. Why can't we have a consistent story the same way all of our white friends do? Everyone knows Peter gets bitten by a radioactive spider. We know so much about that. They didn't even need to include it when he just appeared in Civil War. He was already Spider-Man for like 6 months. Why are we doing the disservice of changing her superpowers? Because the next iteration of Kamala, because we know the Marvel films will reboot eventually. Everyone will get too old. So let's say in like 15 years from now, when they're casting a brand new Kamala Khan actress, what are they going to do with her powers? Like, are they going to make her a light person again? Are they going to go to like a polymorph, more inhuman traditional version? Like, what's with this wonky here and there stuff? It's very annoying. I would like the white character, or rather the characters who aren't white, to get the same treatment that the white characters have, which is a consistent power origin, a consistent name, a consistent everything throughout.
And let's see. Taint asks, does Kamala identify herself as a Muslim, or does she live in an environment where Islam is the dominant religion?
She's in New Jersey. What do you mean she doesn't identify?
Can you expand on that answer?
Well, the answer is yes, she does identify, and she lives in America.
I don't think he's seen the show or knows a lot about the character.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was just asking. Okay, cool. Yeah, awesome. Okay, and thank you for folks engaging in the chat as far as like the earlier topic that we were, kind of clarifying as far as like using the term woke. But yeah, thank y'all to the panel. Thank you, Ashley, Second Street Marvel, Trinity, and ChillMonger for coming through to give some thoughts on the show. This has been an awesome conversation. I do want to get a chance for all of y'all to kind of like let us know where we can find you and what you'll be working on in the near future. So I will let Trinity go first, since you joined us last on the panel. Where can we find you at, and what will you be working on this week?
Well, again, thank you so much for having me on, and I apologize for being late. Like I said, just
happens.
Wasn't thinking the East Coast West Coast thing, and I'm pretty sure you did mention that it was East Coast time, and I just Anyway, but again, thank you so much for having me on, and thank you everybody for being here that's been watching this. I'm sure it's been a great conversation. I started watching about 20 minutes before I got on. I had to clean up a little bit, and very, very good stream. But I will be probably, hopefully, be getting my truck done here very soon, and I'll be recording some comic book reviews as well as doing some unboxing videos as well. I got a couple of statues that I have to get unboxed, as well as, maybe doing, I don't know, some videos on some other things. I also got to get together with ChillMonger so we can get together and do a very similar show like this where we talk about Ms. Marvel, and we will talk about the Ms. Marvel finale.
We're going to pronounce that name correctly.
The pre-show. Yeah, y'all are ramping up for the actual show coming up. But yeah, thank you for joining us. And yeah, Ashley, The Widow, where can we find you at, and what are you going to be working on?
Well, The Widow is the channel. I'm working on this new series that I'm doing where I'm reacting to a bunch of old movies that I haven't seen. So first up is Aliens. So I'm going to do a reaction to that film. And because I haven't seen it, I don't like disgusting looking creatures, so we'll see how that goes. We're gonna get through those. I'm gonna do Predator. I'm gonna do a bunch of films I haven't seen, and then later tonight, I'm probably gonna do a solo stream where I just talk about whatever comes to my head, and like open stream just to get back into like trying to stream again, and then just making videos, because I'm kind of like shifting my content to mainly like dedicated uploads still, but like reactions and like stuff like that. And everybody go watch Better Call Saul, because you should be watching it, and I'm going to be talking about that a lot. I'm going to watch Alien and then Aliens. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen the movie. I'm sorry. So
awesome.
Alien is first. And then
first
Aliens.
One.
Yeah, I haven't seen either one.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And yeah, links in the description for all three of our wonderful panelists to go follow them on Twitter as well as on their channels to go subscribe to them. Please do so. And ChillMonger, yes, thank you so much for joining my panels. As always, where can we find you at and what are you going to be working on?
Ooh, every Saturday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific, I do 33 burning questions, and it'll be Marvel again this week. I think I might stop it if we find like a live stream for Hall H, because it'll be happening during the same time. I'll be streaming.
I'm gonna be live streaming that.
You'll be live streaming, or I might redirect to your stream then. Yeah, we'll figure it out. But that's what I do on my channel. Check me out.
Cool beans. Awesome. This is great, y'all. I'm going to go ahead and play the outro, and it was wonderful having you all here. Feel free to hop out. Oh,
can I say something real quick?
You're really showing off how I'm like.
I was going to say, it says, she said Eastern Time. She said Eastern. She did say Eastern.
He's like,
can I say
look how
one
much
thing?
she hit me up, y'all. That's how bad she wants me on her show.
Can I say one thing really quickly?
Oh, go ahead.
I'm just a passionate human being, okay? That was not really me directing that towards you, so there was no need for you to apologize, and I'm sorry if you took it that way. It was just the term in general and me speaking generally about the term being used. It was nothing against you personally. I'm just a very person sometimes, but that, so I'm apologizing if you took that as it was being directed towards you. I just wanted to say that. Sorry, Ray.
Oh, no, you're all
your
good.
Audience.
And I've gotten the chance to speak with 1,000-word pictures directly, as well as Show, and I know Taint Snake is a good dude as well. So, like I said, the character count in the comments section and in live chats does no one justice as far as like trying to have an actual conversation. So I wanted to try and give them credit where credit's due. Yeah. And thank you, Ashley, for clarifying as well. I really appreciate it. But yeah, on that note, I'm going to go ahead and play the outro. Feel free to hop out of the StreamYard, y'all. It was awesome chatting with you. Great meeting you, Trinity. And yeah, we'll go ahead and catch y'all on the next one. All right, take care, y'all. Bye.
Later.